Hello, everyone, and welcome to this all partner training session on fiction. I'm Lucy, and I am the head of sales and business development for Usborne Community Partnerships, and I am an avid fiction fan. So today I am going to show you some young, middle grade, and YA fiction that I think is essential for you to have on your stalls, at your school events, or to choose for your book club choices. So this is just a small fraction of the fiction we have available, but I think it's important to note you do not need to have read every fiction book. You don't need to stock every fiction book to be successful. And I think these books will ensure successful events for you. I've also totted up how much these books would cost in terms of order value as well. But I think, again, it's important to note, particularly if you're doing a school book fair, you don't need, and you're doing or taking orders, you don't need to buy these books. You could get some from your local library. If your children have already got them on their bookshelves or you've read them, you can take those copies along, and then people can place their orders, and then you order them brand new copies of books. But I thought it was useful to show you the range of books that I think will ensure you have something for every customer. So I'm going to start off with the young fiction. I'm also not going to go through extensively the plots of these books, because otherwise this will be the world's longest video. So starting with young fiction, these two, Unipiggle and Billy and the Mini Monsters, are great for two reasons. Firstly, they both have full colour illustrations, which I think is quite rare. I'll turn to the one black and white page, which I think is quite rare for first chapter books. These have been the only ones. My daughter is 6, so these were the kind of books that we were looking for, and these have been the only ones that I've been able to find that have full colour illustrations. So I think that's a massive selling point before you've even started with them. These are the perfect way to move children on from picture books to chapter books. The chapters are really short, so it would be easy for a parent to read one chapter before bed to their children. I also think it's important to note we're not suggesting 5 and 6-year-olds can read these books independent necessarily, but if parents and guardians are sitting and reading to their children, then these are the perfect length for that kind of age's attention span. Billy is focused on a boy called Billy who has these mini monsters, and Billy has various fears that would be really common for children to have, and together with his mini monsters, each book kind of works through him working through his fears and overcoming them. So there's a bit more to them than just funny stories with monsters. They have comic strip style story, like story formatting, as well as the more traditional way of writing a story. So they're just super engaging. Great for reluctant readers, great for moving kids on from picture books to chapter books. And there's nothing not to like about these, really. Then you've got Unipiggle, which is, again, they don't have the comic strip format, but you've got these fab little features in the text of like kind of additional things to read and different ways of exploring how text is presented on a page. And this is about a girl called Princess P who lives in a world where once they reach a certain age, they get a unicorn, but she doesn't get a unicorn. She gets a cheeky unicorn pig, and they get up to all kinds of mischief together. My daughter absolutely loved this series, read all of them. So that's Unipiggle and Billy and the Mini Monsters. Also in the younger range, you have got these sticker dolly stories, again, a real firm favourite of my daughter. And I think what you will find at your stalls, school book fairs, people are really familiar with the sticker dolly dressing sticker books. They're not as familiar with these, and these take the characters from those and they turn them into stories. They are fully illustrated, although the illustrations are black and white. But again, these are perfect first chapter books for kids. The chapters are, again, really short, easy to maintain kids' attention spans, and the text is relatively simple. You get a full page of stickers at the front that children can dress the dolls in. So they get the dolls, it gives you their names and a little bit of information about them. You dress them with the stickers, and then you can read and enjoy the stories. My daughter absolutely loved these. There are loads of books in the series. We have read every single one of them. And the reason she likes them is, like many other 6-year-old girls, she is a super girly girl. She loves dresses. She loves everything that's pretty. She's very into what she's wearing and how she's accessorizing. But she wants to be the hero in the story, and she doesn't want to be told that the only way she can be the hero in the story is if she's wearing trousers. And she loved the fact that they got all dressed up in their special outfits, and then they saved the day, and they did it with their friends, and she would relate each character to her and her friends. So it's all about girls saving the day. And I think rather than telling little girls that they shouldn't like pretty things and they shouldn't like dresses, it tells them that absolutely you can like those things and you can save the day wearing whatever you want to wear. So really kind of important messages, I think, in these books as well. Then we have got the puzzle adventure books. These are relatively new, although some of them are reworkings of like titles from the past. So you've got this range, which I would say are the simplest to read. So simple text, simple puzzles to complete as you go through, and more kind of superhero themed with the characters. Again, great for more reluctant readers, great for kids that want something a bit more interactive in their reading, great for kids that tell you they like Bunny versus Monster or Dogman. And I think they're a bit more kind of parent friendly. The parents are more happy to invest in these books. Then you've got this one. So these are historical. So it's about 2 characters that get taken back in time. There are 2 books available so far, but more are coming. And again, you've got simple text and simple puzzles to solve as you go through them. Again, full colour illustrations in all of these, which I think are really great selling points. And finally, Agent Arthur. I would say this ages up the best out of all of them. I think a 9-10-year-old would find this engaging, and I think it's great to have something that appeals to an older child that maybe just doesn't want so much text in what they're reading. So again, full colour illustrations, puzzles to solve as you go through, and a lot of parents will remember these from their own childhoods. There's quite a good nostalgia feel to these too. And also, lots of children are called Arthur. It's a really common name now. So I think that's a nice little hook. I've been at multiple events where there's been a child called Arthur that has understandably wanted this book. Then we have got this one. This is the proof cover. So the actual cover is that, which is on the back. This is coming in March 2025. And this is Grumpfort. And it's absolutely brilliant. So this is about a boy called Mo, and he lives in a world in a village where everyone is terrified of these monsters. And there's 7 different families, each named after a different day of the week, that are responsible for protecting the village from these monsters on their day of the week. Mo's gran was the last warden on a Monday. She sadly died. Doesn't have his parents left, so it's up to him to kind of inherit this role from her. Apart from, he does not want to be a monster hunter. He doesn't want to be a warden. And he gets embroiled in this storyline where he gets captured by the monsters. He goes off to try and find them, ends up being captured by the monsters, and realizes that actually the monsters aren't scary. They aren't trying to hurt the people in the village he lives in, and actually they really need his help. The author is the author illustrator, so it's heavily illustrated, heavily kind of graphic in style. So again, great for kids that are telling you they like Loki, they like Dogman, they like Bunny versus Monster. The text is very simple to read. It's really, really funny, right down to the illustrations as well. So the text and the illustrations both add to the humour, and just really lovely messages of friendship, not judging a book by its cover. Just a really fab, fun, easy read that I think kids will be obsessed with. Then you have got the final one in the young fiction range is this, which is Anisha Accidental Detective. There are now, I want to say, 6 or 7 in this series. And this is about a girl called Anisha who constantly finds herself embroiled in these mysteries that, together with her best friend Milo, she has to solve. I think there is a mystery for everything. It's very relatable themes of family, friendship, um, and kind of like what it means to be growing up in the modern day. They are super fun, super funny. They are illustrated throughout. And it's just really fun to kind of read through them, try and solve the mysteries as you go along at the same time as Anisha and Milo are trying to solve them. We've got some great family characters in her family, like Granny Jazz is super popular with children. And they're just really funny, fast-paced adventure mystery stories that are relatively simple to read and super engaging for kids. And I think the added illustrations throughout really help with that. So that is the young fiction, which I totaled it up. And if you were to order it, that would cost you £51.92. But as I said, you can obviously, if you've got an event where you're selling from, you're taking orders, you could get those books from your local library and then take orders from them. So moving on to the middle grade fiction, so that is aimed at 9 to 12-year-olds. But I think it's useful to note that it ages up way better, like way higher than that. But also a lot of them do age down. If parents are wanting to sit and read to their children, I would read the majority of these to my 6-year-old. There is nothing inappropriate in them. It depends. Some of them are scarier than others. So it depends on how children are with that. But it's just a guidance. There is nothing inappropriate in these books. So the first couple I want to talk to you about are these two, 21% Monster and Alex Neptune. I think if kids like one, they will like the other. So these are your like sci-fi, fast-paced action adventure books, great for fans of things like Percy Jackson, and just really, really tend to be popular with boys in particular that want these fast-paced action-adventure style books. Then you've got this one, which is The Boy to Beat the Gods, that is relatively new. And this is about a boy who lives in a world that is controlled by these gods. And one day the gods take his sister, and it's up to him to try and get her back and rescue his sister. It's very much inspired by the author's love of video games, and it does feel like that to read. So it feels like you are in a video game, you are the main character, and that definition seems to sell it time and time again to kids. Kids seem to like that mythology, that gods. It is loosely based on kind of real African mythology. And it's just really fast-paced, fun adventure that is great for kids that tell you they're into video games. Then you've got this one, The Spectaculars. So this is the most similar book, I would say, that we have to the Harry Potter series, which is still a popular series with kids. So it's set in a school setting, apart from it's a magical theatrical school. So again, any children that tell you they're into drama or acting or Harry Potter or just fantasy would love The Spectaculars. There's multiple books in the series now. So again, great if you're going back to one school, the next time you go back, you can have the next one in the series for kids to pick up and enjoy. Then you have got this one. Kids are fascinated by spooky books, and I would say this is the most popular genre at the moment, is this kind of horror spooky books. So this is The Haunting of Aveline Jones. There are 3 in this series, and the same author's also written a series called Shadow Hall Academy. The second one's about to come out, which are these kind of more like jumpy, they're not gory fiction particularly, it's more like traditional gothic tropes, like really spooky settings, all the kind of things you'd expect in a spooky horror book, but not gory, just things to make you jump, the kind of characters you would expect. The author's great at building atmosphere, the settings are always brilliant. And again, it just kind of has you questioning everything that the character is going through. Tend to be equally popular, again, with boys and girls. On the kind of more mystery side, these books are not spooky, but the A.M. Howe books, the covers are all absolutely beautiful, and kids seem attracted to them, particularly girls, by the covers alone. They're historical mysteries. So again, great if children tell you they are interested in history, all her books are set in a historical time period, and they're all mysteries. So if a child is talking to you about mysteries, and actually it's not the spooky thing they want, like Adeline Jones or Shadow Hall Academy, it's more the mystery feature, they would love A.M. Howe's books. All of them are brilliantly written. I, as an adult, really enjoyed them. And again, I would say they age up quite well. And they're just, yeah, brilliant historical mysteries, great characters. Like, you learn a lot reading them as well about that historical time period, and the covers are beautiful. Then you have got Jenny Pearson, who is your option if a child tells you that what they really like is books that are funny. Jenny Pearson is your answer to that. So her latest book is Shipwrecked, which it does what it says in the titles. It's a group of kids, they challenge another group of kids to a rowing race. They get caught in a storm and they end up shipwrecked on a desert island, and it's about how they survive that. There's some great animal characters in there, including Giuseppe, the goat, or is it Garibaldi? The goat. There's a goat. Name begins with G. Very amusing characters, really funny, really heartfelt. All Jenny's books deal with some deeper issues as well. So this one, the main characters, parents divorced and the mother left home, and he feels quite abandoned by her and wonders like why she didn't choose to stay with him. Deals with issues of friendship, but really strong friendship between the three main characters, and that's what keeps them going on this island. It is laugh a minute, laugh out loud. And I think if parents have kids that are maybe 7, 8, and they want something to read to them at bedtime that the parents are going to enjoy as much as the children, I would say Jenny Pearson is your number one recommend. Or A.M. Howell, actually. I think parents would really enjoy reading these to their children and enjoy sharing them together. Then you have got Kick. This is at the higher end of primary school, would work really well for secondary school children as well. So this is based on the story of Budi, who lives in the slums of Jakarta. He longs to be a football player, but instead he's working in the sweatshops making the football boots for football players to wear. Something goes wrong and he gets caught up in the kind of like with the most dangerous man in Jakarta. And it's all about how that unravels. It's great for highlighting like how other children live, highlighting like kind of how lucky you are to be living in the world you're living in, but also it's a real story of hope and never giving up on your dreams and working hard to achieve them. Really good if kids are into football. I think that's a natural hook into this book. And this has been a bestseller for UCP for years and years and years. And it's just, again, a really brilliant story. Again, if you do a book club, I think this would be a good one to do for that as well. Then you have got these three, which would be what I would recommend to girls that want more realistic fiction. So again, that seems to be coming in more and more as that girls want the more kind of Jacqueline Wilson style book, and these would be my recommends for that. I would say Sunshine Simpson skews the youngest out of them. So this, the first one, the character's in year 5, then she moves into year 6 in the second one, and the third one's set in the summer holidays before she goes into year 7. So it's quite good for aging up, deals with issues like she wants a mobile phone, or her friends have got one, she wants one, she's not allowed one, deals with loss, the loss of her granddad, deals with things like the Windrush generation, Black History Month, and just generally her day-to-day life, how she navigates her friendships, her relationship with her family. So if kids just want, I think they keep calling it realistic fiction. If they want something that is more realistic, that's more about like their own lives, then Sunshine Simpson is fab. And there are 3 so far in this series. Being Miss Nobody's by Tamsin Winter. This was her first book, and her books are skewing progressively older. So I would say this is the youngest of her books. There is nothing inappropriate in this book. The main character is in year 7 at school, and she is a selective mute. And it's all about her kind of finding her voice and standing up to the bullies at school. But it's the author is a secondary school teacher, and you can really see that in her writing. Like, the characters are spot on, the teenage voices are spot on. And kids tend to want to read about older children than themselves. And this is where this is great for kind of like 9, 10, 11-year-old girls reading about an 11, 12-year-old girl. And yeah, just really, really brilliant writing by Tamsin Winter. But her books, the majority of them, I would not take to a primary school book fair. They do skew older. This one definitely does not. And finally, on the realistic fiction is this one, The Girl Who Couldn't Lie. So this author's got another one coming out next year in 2025, which will be great. This is like magic realism in that it feels very realistic to read, but the girl does have this magic bangle that once she puts it on, she inherits it from her gran. Once she puts it on, she can't take it off. And while she's wearing it, she can't lie about anything. So it deals with her relationships with her parents. She spends her whole life trying to please everyone. And that means she does a lot of things that she doesn't even like. And once she has this bangle on, she starts telling the truth about how she's really feeling about everything, which obviously leads to kind of a lot of upset with her family, with her friends. And it's about how she learns to like live her own truth without hurting other people's feelings and kind of live the life that she wants to live, and being true to herself. But again, deals with a lot to do with friendship, with her hobbies, with her family. She does have a boyfriend in this. So I know sometimes kids get asked about kind of books that feature romance. Nothing happens with the boyfriend at all in this book. Again, there is nothing inappropriate in this book, but might be a good one to recommend for younger girls in primary school that are wanting something like that you clearly wouldn't want to recommend something like Hollyborn to, or even have at your events. This would be a good one to recommend. So if you were to buy all of those books, that would cost you £85.89. And combined with the first lot of books I showed you, the young fiction, is £137.81. So less than an active order to get what I would suggest would do you at every single primary school book fair you ever went to. That would be the perfect range of fiction I would suggest for you to have. Now, moving on to the tween YA fiction that you wouldn't want to take to any of your primary school events, because it wouldn't be appropriate, but perfect if you are working with secondary schools. And all of these would also be great if you are running young adult or adult book clubs. So the first one I want to talk to you about is, again, Tamsin Winter, who I've just been talking about. She's got lots of brilliant books, but they do skew older. So you've got Girl Online, which actually, Girl in Real Life, I think probably is okay for slightly younger. She's got another one called, now it's completely escaping me what her the book is called, and it's not going to show me in this book, is it? She's got another one called Bad Influence. I would say is probably her oldest skewed one. This is about a girl whose parents are social media influencers, and they've always put every aspect of her life on social media. Then her mum broadcasts about her first period on social media, and she decides like she's had enough and she wants no more to do with this. And again, like really great tween writing, super relatable, super engaging, amazing for reluctant readers, really easy to read. And just, yeah, Tamsin Winter is such a brilliant voice for young people. Then you have Holly Bourne. So Holly Bourne's books are all 14 plus, and I would say you wouldn't really want to recommend them to children younger than 14. The yearbook, I would say, is probably one of her cleanest and youngest skewing books. So this is about a girl who's in year 11 and she's on the yearbook committee, and she kind of takes a stand against the bullies at school who have controlled the narrative her whole school career, and she decides enough is enough with this. Again, yeah, I think this is kind of her cleanest, least trigger warning worthy book. Again, Holly Bourne is a phenomenal writer, brilliant for reluctant readers, brilliant for teenagers that want an escape from the textbooks that they're studying at school. All her books are super easy to read, super engaging. They do deal with some quite serious issues in relation to relationships in particular. This one, I think, is probably, yeah, the one you would have to give least warning to. My nieces are 14 and she's their favourite author for both of them. She's just brilliant. She writes what they want to read, and is a must-have for any secondary school event. And I think, again, great books to read with a book club if you're running those. This is Royal Blood by Amy Carter, and this was actually one of Peter Usborne's favourite books before he died. Is phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. I gave it to my best friend for Christmas last year. The next one's out, and that's what she wants for Christmas this year, because she enjoyed it so much. I loved it. My nieces loved it, and it's just like fast-paced thriller, rom-com, like funny in places, fast-paced, keeps you guessing throughout. So kind of combines the like rom-com genre with the thriller genre. Lots to do with the British royal family in there. So anyone that's kind of fascinated by that, anyone that wants a love story, anyone that wants a thriller, I think it ticks so many boxes. And there is a second one in the series as well. Again, 14 plus. I would say less hard. As you know, that's not true. Like, there are some quite serious issues in this. So again, I would keep it at the 14 plus rating. But again, great for book clubs or older children. Then you've got these two, which are thrillers. So this one is your traditional murder mystery, and Ravina Guran is a phenomenal talent. So this is 12 plus. Her other two, I believe, are 4. No, the second one she's written is 14 plus, Catch Your Death, and then she's got Mondays and Murder, which is 12 plus. So good for your younger tween teen readers. She's heavily inspired by Agatha Christie. Her books all have phenomenal twists that you just would never see coming. Great to get kids engaged with reading, talking to each other about reading, and kids love a murder mystery, and her books really fill that need. Ace of Spades is much darker, I would say, than this book. Kills, again, great for keeping you guessing. This one feels quite like gossip girly to read. Again, so many twists and turns from Frida in this book that will just keep you guessing right up until the end. Seems to appeal equally to girls and boys. School settings are heavily relatable. Again, 14 plus for very good reason, but really fast-paced, twisty thriller. Then you've got a few historical titles. So this one, Orphan Monster Spy, is set in Nazi Germany. Again, a 14 plus. My 13-year-old nephew read it, absolutely loved it. So set in Nazi Germany, and is about a Jewish girl who goes undercover as a spy at an elite Nazi boarding school to try and bring the Nazi party down. Super fast-paced, thrilling, great historical references. Just a really, really phenomenal read. And this one is Where the World Ends. So this is based on a true story. So this is by the multi-award-winning Geraldine McCaughrean, 12 plus, and it is based on a true story of a group of boys who got sent out to a remote sea stack to catch birds for like fuel and to feed the island they come from. But the boat that's supposed to come and take them back to the mainland, the main island, doesn't turn up. And it's based on the true story of this happening, I think, in 1726, and how the boys survived on that remote sea stack. So again, great if kids like history, if they want something a bit more challenging to read, if they want something that feels more gritty and based on real life, then this book is brilliant. And finally, got some dystopian fiction to show you. S.M. Wilson is a phenomenal author. She is a mum of boys, and I think she really writes well to that audience. Her series, The Extinction Trials, is amazing. It's not currently in stock at the time of doing this video, which is why I've chosen The Infinity Files. So this is like fast-paced dystopian action adventure, and is about someone that lives in this space world and has to find all these artifacts, and so she goes like forward and backwards in time. So you've got some fab historical references, some great imagined future worlds. It's fast-paced, it's twisty, It's action-packed. It is easy to read. I'd say this author is really, really good for reluctant readers because you can just fully escape into her world, not overthink it, and just enjoy the ride. And finally, this one, The Outrage, that was 12 plus. This is 14 plus, again, set in a dystopian world. And in this dystopian world, being gay is illegal. And it is kind of about how this group of rebel teenagers uncover this library of videos which show a world where all types of love were accepted, and it's kind of battling against the regime they live in that tells them who they can love and how they can live their lives. And they live in a very tightly controlled society, and it's about how they kind of try to break out from that. And it's just utterly phenomenal. Again, if you have a book club, you 100% should do this book. It would be great to study at schools and a really good kind of escapism read for young people. If you were to buy all the YA books I recommended, it would be £75.91. And say you bought all the middle grade and YA ones because you had a secondary book fair, it'd be £161 50 or 60, can't read my own writing. So again, just over an active orders or an active order, and actually like some of your free books allowance would get you those books. Altogether, the books I've shown you were £213.72. So again, an active order plus a little bit more, plus your free books allowance would get you all those amazing fiction books to have for every single event you went to. If you were taking orders, great for book clubs, great for school events, and great to have a range of fiction on any stalls that you are doing. So I hope that was helpful, and that's kind of narrowed down our fiction slightly. I could have listed so many more books, but I was trying to keep it slightly on the smaller side. But we have amazing fiction, and the biggest recommendation I can give to you is to read it. You will sell the books that you have read and loved and enjoyed. Thank you for watching.